Well, good evening again, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're watching from throughout the world. I hope you're all doing well and feeling healthy and happy and all of that stuff. I'm just waiting on my guest to join me again this evening, the former Premier League referee, former FIFA referee, and of course, former head of the PGMOL in England. Now, for those of you who don't know what the PGMOL is, those are the guys who control the referees in England for the Premier League, for the championships, and so on. And they're headed by a man called Mike Riley, former Premier League referee, um, not that far back, and who, after Christmas, this very Christmas, which is only in a couple of weeks' time, will be headed up by the former Premier League referee, former World Cup final referee here in South Africa, a man called, oh my God, his name just, Howard Webb. Oh, I'm having a senior moment. Yes. So Howard Webb will be um, taking over the head of the referees at the start of the new year, and he will then do all the appointments and um, match commissioners and all that story. He's fully in charge with the referees. Now, I just see Keith Hackett, my very good friend and colleague. Um, oh, he says he didn't get the link. So I'm going to just, while I'm talking, I'm just going to send him the link once more. I thought I had done it, but obviously not. And if you can just bear with me for a moment, um, and I'll send the link to Keith. You should have it now, I think. And in the meantime, we will go back to talking about the refereeing in the World Cup. What did you think of it so far? If you'd like to make comments, please do so on the bottom of your screen. There's a little space down there, and you can swipe it from right to left and leave your comments there, and we would be glad to answer any questions you have. In my opinion, the referees, it hasn't been a World Cup that has set the world on fire, but now I'm joined by my very good friend who's um, stuck in the traffic. Were you, Keith, or what was going on? But
Am I
thank you
on
very
just a
much,
moment?
Keith, as usual. I'm not calling you from my usual place. As you can see by the background, it's quite plain and blank. But anyway, um, I can hear you clearly.
Yeah,
Can you
great.
hear me?
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry about
Okay.
that.
No, not at all. It's great to have you, and thank you very much for rushing from where you were to where you now are. And um, well, anyway, you sent me quite a list, Keith, of incidents from the World Cup, but I want to show you one just before you get started, and it's the where is it now? I just get it now. This whole controversy about the ball being in or out of play. You
Yes.
heard all that. So, and there's been lots of comments and lots of people commenting about it, giving out about it, and different opinions. But this is the incident here. I think we just need to discuss with people to let them know exactly when the ball is in play and when it's out of play. I'm just going to put it up on the screen. Can you see that, Keith?
I've got, yes, I can.
There are four little shots there.
Yeah.
And
Well,
all
if,
those, just from different angles. It's the
yes.
same situation from a
Yeah.
different angle,
Yeah.
and all of those shows that the ball is still in play. Would you like to explain why it's still in play? Now, the blue part, by the way, is off the pitch, and you can just see
Yes.
the green on the top
Yeah.
is on the field. So,
I think what is important.
you're frozen on me now, Keith. You frozen on me now, have you? Yeah.
Here's, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
I got you now again, I think. Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
Right. So the basic problem is this, that it's so important to have the correct viewing angle. And I think it shows the dilemma for the referee in field. He's not able to make a judgment. So if he's standing anywhere near the penalty area, he's not going to be able to make a judgment that the ball is in or out of play. So that is then the role of the assistant referee. And the assistant referee has made a judgment here by raising his flag that he believes the ball is out of play. Then with VAR, the VAR interrupts and says, I'm going to come in and I want you to take a look at this. And of course, then produces not these images, Dr. Errol, but images that are what we've seen on broadcast TV, which is not decisive because you can jump either way. It's only some minutes, if not hours later, that FIFA came out and declared on a photograph taken from above, looking down, that the outer circumference of the sphere, the ball, is still in contact with the line. And in that situation, it proves the point that the ball is still in play. However,
Yeah.
my concern is the length of time it took for FIFA, the governing body, to come out with a definitive clip and answer. And then I asked the question and posed the question, right? What is available in the VAR room to make the decision that the ball is still in play? Because the broadcast images that we're seeing, and I'm assuming they are seeing, is inconclusive. And this is a big decision that you cannot guess. So here you've got the basic problem of someone has made a decision. Was it a guess? And was it a fine guess that's accurate? Or was the justification by producing an image from above? Because that image from above is not available. We also are aware, I am, that when it comes to goal line technology, because they're saying we use that system to be able to make this judgment, well, standard goal line technology, because you have to define the position of the goalpost on the goal line, and the 7 cameras only operate within the rectangle of the goal area. They don't extend beyond either goalpost, left or right. So you can see my dilemma in that it's easy to justify and make a statement that the match officials have got it correct. How did they get it correct? Because I have some doubt as to how and where they got the images from. Now, if the system of artificial intelligence that is being used on offside is extended to the goal line and can give us that information, then why hasn't FIFA come out and declared that? So you see,
Well, why do you think they haven't?
Fudge. Look. Nobody likes to say that the referees got it wrong, but neither did we expect VAR to determine whether the ball is in or out of play. It's not its remit. So the dilemma of VAR at this World Cup is worrying me, because we go back to referee Matthew Conger, who's a competent referee from New Zealand. He awards a goal to France. The ball has crossed, it's gone into goal, and he awards the goal, and the game is then restarted, and then the game is stopped because VAR has said it's offside. So you can understand why France, even though they won or got a draw, even in that situation, they won through, are querying the judgment in that situation, because when the ball comes in, there is a player standing in an offside position. Standing in an offside position is not an offence. That player neither became active, and the ball was cleared by a French opponent towards Griezmann, the Frenchman, who was now in second phase onside, and he scored. So we had an outcome incorrect in law, and you cannot manipulate the law, but once you've restarted play, you've restarted play.
Of course, yeah.
And
And wasn't there something, Keith, that said once the game is restarted, any previous decisions cannot be rescinded or gone back on?
Yeah. So what worries me, what really worries me, is you cannot manipulate the law to suit the outcome of the decision. If you're driving at 30 miles an hour in a speed limit of 30 miles an hour, you're okay. If you're 31, you've broken the law. So clearly, I think I'm in a fairly unique position away from FIFA, formally involved with goal line technology, deeply involved with it, understanding the technical aspects of how you achieve the vision of a ball over the line. And those shots that you've shown are very critical to determining whether the ball's over the line or not. Mm-hmm. And you can see, and this depicts it very accurately, that a viewing angle, as almost you do require technology to determine that the ball is out of play. And as such, look, I'm really only questioning the outcome because I want to know how they got it, because the images that you show, Errol, were not available to the VAR. Mm-hmm. How did he make it?
Yeah. And just to expand, if you like, a little bit on that, Keith, the ball over the line, the goal line technology, only refers to the line between the uprights and the crossbar. It doesn't apply to the rest of the goal line from corner flag to corner flag. Neither does it refer to the touch line from one end of the field to the other end of the field.
Correct.
And regularly, I'm seeing what appears to be assistant referees putting the flag up when the ball is running on the line.
Yes.
And getting it hopelessly wrong. I mean, if it's like that, and we agree that it is, that ball is still in play, then if the ball ran down the touch line like
it's
that,
in play.
100% they'll put their flag. They'll put their flag.
Yeah. But just to further clarify, with goal line technology, you do not use the goalposts that are on the field of play. Okay? That might come as a surprise.
Yeah, I'm sure.
The calibration of the computer images was such that the computer software program depicts very accurately where the goalposts are. And the reason behind that is that when we started doing the work through Hawkeye, it became a fact that no Premier League goalposts were vertical or the posts themselves parallel. So you would have one goalpost vertical and the other goalpost probably slightly off vertical. Because of the structure of the goalpost and the flexibility. And so as a consequence, there were two outcomes. The first outcome was the amount of deflection that the crossbar takes when it's struck by a ball, which then said, just a minute, you could actually have, and we're talking millimeters here, we could actually have a crossbar rocking on its axis, and the ball passes, and it might be out and it might not be in. That's not good enough. So hence the vertical lines drawn on the computer to depict that. And those are the images that you see when they determine whether the ball's over the goal line or not. Yeah. And so that's why the thought of putting a camera in goalposts to determine whether the ball's crossed the line or not was a no-no, because the goalposts themselves were not vertical.
Yeah. Keith, thank you very much, by the way. You sent me a lot of information. I'm not sure we get through it all.
No.
Certainly things that affect referees and refereeing. The behavior by the Uruguayan players at the end of the game towards the referee and one of his assistants was, in my opinion, and you and I have made our opinions public on this, was absolutely appalling. Absolutely appalling. And I'm wondering what the powers that be will do to say to the Uruguayans and every other team anywhere, not necessarily at the World Cup, this will not be tolerated. Unfortunately, my screen.
I thought, first of all, the referee's judgment was accurate. I don't think it was a penalty kick. I think he got that decision correct, but that's immaterial. I thought the referee himself had a good performance. I thought he was calm, mobile, and youthful in his sort of body language. So he's coming off, and the sheer frustration of the team really concerned me. Concerned me on 2 points. You will see in a Premier League game, no matter what the performance is like of a referee, security is available and will react very quickly.
This is for players that are coming off the field.
Yes, as the referee is leaving the field of play, security, if required, is proactive. It'll come on the field of play, and you get 2 or 3 people surrounding the referee and bringing him off the field of play. That's practice that's not often used, but it's there.
Because I want to show you something that happened in a Manchester United game some years ago, but nevertheless happened, where a young referee, who I thought was an excellent prospect, called Andy Durso, was confronted by this.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, like a pack of wolves. I tell you who's not in that picture, but were also involved. You got Jaap Stam on the left, you got Roy Keane in the middle, and you got Nicky Butt there. But David Beckham was also involved.
Yes.
And one other player, whose name just escapes me now. But I mean, that sort of thing is wholly unacceptable. And in fact, they destroyed him because he never got another game. They backed him. He had given a penalty, as far as I can remember. He gave a penalty. They backed him, and he kept going back and back and back.
Yes.
I wouldn't have done that. Sorry, Keith. I would not have. I would have stood my ground. And if you come and you stand on my toes, you're going to get a red card, period. Yeah. That's just one incident. And just another quick one here. This one here was Craig Pawson. Again, not condemning Man United or singling them out. It just happens to be the 2 photographs that I was able to get a hold of. But here again, Manchester United, David De Gea, I don't know who the guy is in front of Craig Pawson. Harry Maguire's at the back. You know,
Yeah.
is that Luke Shaw there as well? You know, but that kind of behaviour should not be allowed to happen.
Correct.
But it does. And
Well,
what
I think that.
So
Yeah,
that's
I
why I
mean-
just mentioned this Uruguayan incident.
Yeah. Well, if we look at the Andy D'Urso situation,
Yeah.
it affected him so badly that we actually, and I was responsible, I sort of downgraded him to the Football League because it affected his confidence. And he then, for a number of years, officiated extremely well at Championship level, the level below the Premier League,
Yeah.
because he found his confidence and he was a solid referee. This impacted on his career. When we look at the Uruguayan incident, what really disappoints me is you and I know that at a World Cup or at the Euro Championships or the Olympic Games, there is standing at that tournament a disciplinary committee, and that disciplinary committee can act within hours and often does. So I ask again, are the authorities across the world getting too soft with regard to the discipline of players? I can tell you that from a Premier League point of view, the Premier League brought in a system where 3 or more players approaching the referee had to be reported. And that report would then go through the system as a team failing to control its players. We also brought in at the same time the Premier League, Richard Scudamore, mass confrontation, again, failure to control the players, where in that situation, a fine of up to $250,000 could be levied by the disciplinary panel. So I think in a way England's played its part, but I've got to say, before the closure of the Premier League season to date and the start of the World Cup, it was on the increase. And, you know, where I also see it is I see a lack of, if you like, referees taking action, and it's growing as a problem. And that is players and management are not supposed to approach the referee when VAR is in operation. Either he's going to the screen or coming away from the screen. They're supposed to keep clear of him. We often see, like the Pied Piper, the players following the referee to the technical area. You know, and so therefore, in the Uruguay situation, leaving the field of play, this young referee was put through the mill. And I believe there was one instance that really shocked me, and that was there was a physical contact between the player and the referee. And in a way, I could understand the referee to some degree wanting to get away from it. But I'm telling you, you and I, faced with that, would have produced the red card out of our pocket like a rocket.
100%.
You know? And I think we've got to get out of this namby-pamby that we're part of the game and we can manage these situations. Apply the law. Apply the law. The law is there and it must be applied. And therefore, for me, FIFA have got to act, and we need to know what Uruguay's punishment is going to be. But it's unacceptable behaviour.
Yeah, as you said earlier, Keith, there is a disciplinary committee at these tournaments.
Yes.
And can act sometimes within hours.
Yes.
Are you aware of any action that they have taken or are planning to take?
None.
So they're just toothless tigers.
Yeah, well,
and you know what I mean? This is where I'm so pro refereeing when it comes to situations. I've been assaulted as well. I've been assaulted. I've been in my
Yes.
car where my wife was heavily pregnant with
Yes.
our child, and as I was driving away from the ground, my car was rocked from side to side.
Yeah.
Now, I reported to
Unacceptable.
those people, and they were severely dealt with by the league, which was a
Yes.
fantastic league
Yes.
in Ireland. But the way that players can behave today towards match officials, when it does say players and coaching staff must respect the decisions of the referee. I'm paraphrasing perhaps slightly, but
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
must respect it, and they're not doing it.
No,
And so
I
long
mean,
as they're allowed to get away with it, they will surely continue doing it.
well, I think that the punishment at the moment, the sanctions, if you like, that are applied in this area are cascading down to grassroots football
Yeah.
and making it very difficult. Look, I can remember I refereed a semi-final and the goalkeeper assaulted a spectator at the end of the game, right? Obviously, we intervened and I reported the matter. That player never played football again. He was banned, sine die. And at that time, it sent out a message to everybody,
Yeah.
you know, and we've got in England at grassroots level, referees being assaulted.
Yeah.
You know, I'm president of a league at a reasonable level, semi-professional level. And we, in recent weeks, have issued a very clear instruction about the behaviour of occupants of the technical staff at half time and full time, because all of a sudden they're leaving the technical area and they're heading for the referee and they're telling him what they think. And therefore, he's got 50 yards to leave the field of play and he's been put under the cosh. And we have said as a league, it's not acceptable. And we've got referees, alas, not in the main, but we've got a lot of referees who are failing to report this because they're fearful that they might get demoted, they might be seen as weak, when in fact all the good referees that I know were referees that applied the sanctions and were tough and had the courage to apply them. No matter what game it was, you applied them.
Well, this is the referee that was assaulted in Ireland in the car park.
Yes.
After the game. Look at this.
Look.
His nose was broken, his eye socket was broken, and he was punched 3 or 4 by 4 thugs. That's what they were. And I wanted him actually on the show, and he said he'd love to come on, but he had a court case pending against him. And if that's not bad enough, and it's bad with anybody, have a look at this young lady in Pakistan. Look at the blood coming down the back of her ear. She was assaulted as a referee.
Yeah.
You know really, they really have to. I don't want to necessarily turn the show into a player bashing, but this is what's happening day in and day out throughout the world, and we're hearing nothing about it. And I'm glad that those people came forward. The one guy is actually my namesake, but no relation whatsoever. His name is Daniel Sweeney. The lady's from Pakistan.
Yes.
But to what level are these guys stooping? My goodness.
Well, you know, I think that there's even been, you know, a death with a referee in one part of the world. So I think that, you know, prevention, it has to be the real cure. And and the only prevention that it can make is, I think, a change of emphasis in terms of understanding that a referee is an employee of the federation or the football association. And if you're you know, a businessman and you're employing people, you have a responsibility on health and safety grounds to protect your employees. And so punishment to me is insufficient. It seems to me that, you know, it's the punishment that has to be levied is one of either sine die, i.e. they never play football again, financial punishment that is cruel. And of course, in the case that we've just seen, there's no doubt in my mind that the person who committed that assault on that referee, the only place for them is in jail, in prison. They need locking up, because if this happened away from a football pitch, this is assault. It's GBH. We've got we've had a referee in the Northwest a month or 6 weeks ago. He was knocked unconscious and had to be taken to hospital and spend a couple of days in hospital recovering. So these are not new phenomena, but I think that what we expect is that at the very highest level, an example is made and that processes are in place, procedures are in place that protect that referee. That referee, the German referee, right? If anybody didn't see or second guess that there was going to be a problem and didn't react, then they're not doing the job. And I just felt that who were the security as the referee was going off? You had certain officials that were FIFA people in suits, but they, ultimately not good enough. The referee wasn't protected.
Daniel Siebert, I think, is the referee's name. Very good referee.
He is.
I just don't want to hold you too long, Keith, because I'm sure.
Well, there's one other thing I'd like to raise, and that is, in one of the games, you will have seen that the player was asked to go off the field of play to have jewellery removed.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Yeah,
I find that. And the other thing that I bring out is that I watched closely Harry Kane, and Harry Kane actually wears his wedding ring taped up. And for the listeners, and for everybody that tunes into this show, let's make it quite clear: the laws of the game prevent you from wearing any form of jewellery, and therefore, pre-match, often in the tunnel, that's where the inspection has to take place. So the referee was let down by his colleagues who failed to do the appropriate inspection, which is unusual when it comes to a tournament.
Isn't that a consequence, I believe, of referees not being allowed into the dressing room before the game to check the gear? Because
we had, I'll not name the player.
All right.
But he used to wear a wooden cross, which is jewelry. And I can remember we had cameras, and in the tunnel, it was removed at the request of the assistant referee. As he was running onto the field of play, he had a pocket in his shorts, pulled it out and put it over his head. And we had, I can remember the incident because we had footage that I put to the Football Association when I was boss of the PGMOL and said, and then they wrote to the club using that video to remind them that player, and they argued on religious grounds. And we said, look, the simplicity of the matter is you cannot wear jewellery. It's not allowed. And neither can you have your wedding rings taped up.
And without mentioning names or clubs, and I know we don't want to do that, was this a current Premier League?
Oh, yes. The team is currently not in the Premier League. It was a Premier League club, right? Yes. And it was an Italian player. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Just one last thing, Keith. There's only been 3 red cards at the World Cup so far. And people think that you and I are protecting referees all the time, and we don't. We try to be very objective and fair about it. Anthony Taylor had a red card when he sent off the South Korean coach, I think. And all because he wouldn't allow them to take a corner kick.
Yes.
Now, in my opinion, he was being absolutely silly, because you remember back to
Clive Thomas,
when the ball was on its way across and he blew the whistle. and the ball went into the net, which would have
Yes.
meant that one team would have gone through and the other team gone out, and if it hadn't gone in, vice versa. Now, surely he was silly in doing that. If he awarded them the corner kick, nobody would have argued if he had added on another 30 seconds. And to me, he brought a lot of hassle on himself. What's your opinion?
I think that I agree 100%. I've already said it, and a few referees are upset because obviously they throw back at me, in some instances rightly, that law 5, the referee is the sole timekeeper. But you and I know that seconds in a game are won and lost. In fact, minutes are won and lost. And even though there was a clampdown, or if you like, a statement made by FIFA that said, we want you to use generous amounts of added time. Be generous.
And especially because of that
right?
amount of time, another 30 seconds.
So I suspect that Anthony Taylor was not aware of the situation with regard to Clive Thomas, because the coaching that I used to do and my fellow coaches at the PGMOL was very clear, and that is stop the game at a dead ball situation. And that can be, right, the ball's over the plate, over the line for a throw-in, and it's midfield. Don't stop it in the situation that you've awarded a corner kick and then you say, well, I'm not going to take it. So I think that common sense refereeing was lost on the day. And I think it was a pity because I think Anthony Taylor had one of his better games, to be honest.
I just wonder, will he get another game?
Well, I think I'd be surprised if he didn't. The influence, of course, is England are still in the tournament.
Yeah, of course.
I still feel, although he was let down with his VAR, I think Daniel Makalele is a very good referee. I think he's got to be in the frame. I like this guy, Venezuela. I've seen him now 3 times. I think he's a very competent match official. So I think he's in with a chance. I think Ivan Barton, who refereed the England game last night, had quite a good game. I thought it was slightly amusing that the press were having a bit of a go this morning here in England because he told the players to shut up. And I'll tell you,
something you and I would do. I'm sure.
I mean, I've done the same. I've done exactly the same. So I thought, good on him if that's what he's done. But I think we're now beginning to see some good referees, and of course, Stephanie Frappart, the French woman referee, also performed extremely well. And I think what was noticeable was how the players accepted the decisions. And, we go back to England and I expected England getting in trouble with referees. The way we play, the way we've been allowed to play in England, which is with a lot of indiscipline. We've not had a yellow card yet. Amazing.
Do you think that with Stephanie and the players, there might be a little bit of chivalry left on the soccer field?
I think there might, and I think that is the case, and I think that she did the job, and fine. I think we've got some good referees at this tournament. I think in the group stages, I started to worry a bit. I'll tell you the one area that concerns me, and it concerns me to the extent I'm beginning to be a bit of a disbeliever, and that is VAR, because we've now got 7 people in the room causing chaos. And I think when we actually look at the controversial incidents, it's one stimulated by VAR and not by the referee.
Yeah. They need to get a grip on it and do what the rugby referees do. Say to the VAR, in my opinion, it's a goal. Is there any reason why I should not award a goal?
Yeah.
And also when they're doing that, maybe as an extra or in conjunction with that, the referee should go immediately As soon as VAR tells him there's a problem, he should immediately go to the camera and
Yeah.
between VAR guys and himself make a decision. That will
Yes.
surely cut the time in half instead of standing out there with his finger to his ear, players crowding around him, which they're not supposed to do.
If you know, Errol, if you are taking 1 or 2 minutes to look at replays, it then puts into question as to whether the incident is clear and obvious.
Yeah.
And you go with the referee.
Yeah.
You know, you go with the referee. The linesman's flagged that ball out of play. Go with him.
Yeah.
Because there are so many areas, grey areas within the game. You know, you're suddenly trying to get too clever. You and I know that when we refereed, the ball had to be in the quadrant, and that meant that the ball at corner kicks was actually on the line, touching it. Whereas this old nonsense of, well, let's judge the outer circumference of the ball creates the problems.
Yeah, and also at the taking of a penalty kick, the ball is not on the spot anymore. It's on the edge, and I notice that it's not the edge away from the goal; it's the edge near the goal.
We're all getting. Sadly, I think that the coaches are getting clever, and the laws need to be reaffirmed in certain areas. But Mr. Ellery, I think, didn't do a good job.
Keith, great having you once again.
Pleasure.
By the way, I can tell you that with 16 minutes gone, Brazil are leading 2-0. So
Wow.
it could be a bit of a quick score there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks very much again, Keith.
Pleasure.
Thank you all of you for watching. We'll do it all again next Monday, Keith.
See you next week.
Fabulous. Thank you very
Bye.
much.
Bye.
God bless.